Hello everyone, it's your boy Rainbow. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another podcast episode. I'm your host Rainbow, and today we'll be talking about how to let go of fear. But before we begin, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. So, what does it mean to let go? You may have heard of this phrase, let go, in a lot of self-help books or even YouTube videos. Let go of this, let go of that, just let go. But what does it truly mean? And how do we let go? Well, you see, letting go is not something that you do. It just happens. It happens naturally. A misconception I see going around is that people believe that letting go is an action or something that you do, but that's simply just not true. Letting go is the outcome of several actions. It's supposed to happen naturally. It can't be forced. An example are the seasons, Mother Nature. Trees grow their leaves in the spring and the summer, but fall during the autumn season. Nothing told those leaves to shed or to fall. They don't try to let go. They don't force it. It just happens. Similarly, letting go is like a transition or the outcome. It is a natural state of being. I saw this channel called Echoes of Existence, and he said, in order to let go, you have to understand why you are holding on. It's as natural as meditation or sleeping or forgiving or breathing. They just happen naturally. You don't do it, it just happens. Letting go is a state of mind, a state of being, not an action. This also applies to detachment. I see this concept given out a lot, especially in Zen Buddhism or in Buddhism in general. The Buddha, enlightened beings, and even Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita argue that attachment to desire is the root of all suffering. Naturally, you think, if I don't want to suffer, I must detach. But detachment is letting go. You don't force it, you don't do it, you just simply be, and you let it happen. Detachment and letting go happen naturally after a state of reflection, understanding, profound wisdom, and realizing the impermanence of everything. It's after a whole set of actions that you can achieve this state of being. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 2, verse 59, this translation, I got it from the website or the translation of Swami Mukundananda, but I'll also give another definition to this very same verse. So the translation from Swami Mukundananda says, aspirants may restrain the senses from their objects of enjoyment, but the taste for the senses remains. This other translation comes from another book called The Bhagavad Gita as it is, which says, though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense objects remains, but ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. However, even this taste ceases for those who realize the Supreme. So this verse means that when one experiences a higher state of consciousness, a higher experience of bliss, joy, or even taste, naturally lower desires or lower states of frequencies, vibrations, you name it, fall away. So when the consciousness or the mind is focused on the Supreme, on something much higher, it does not desire anything lower than that. An example of this is drinking Sunny D or plastic orange juice filled with preservatives. You've been drinking Sunny D all your life, but once you taste fresh orange juice, you want nothing else than that. You've acquired this higher taste for things, and naturally anything that is no longer that higher state or that higher taste, everything else just falls away. Or when you have been working in a toxic environment for years, but when you move to a peaceful, loving environment and you want to stay there. Why? Because now you have attained a much better place to be. Why would you go back to something that is much lower and something that you don't deserve, basically, right? It's about ascending, and while doing so, letting go of things that no longer serves you. Just as you want a clean room, but in order to do so, you have to throw things away and clear the path for a new room. When you choose what feels or is good for you, everything that is not meant for you naturally goes or falls away. The whole concept of letting go is to stop forcing, controlling everything, and resisting. What I mean by resisting is you want it to happen a certain way. So let's say, for example, you want a dress. I want this dress off of this store, arrived at this hour, arrived at this thing. But what you're only doing is that you're blocking that blessing. That dress could magically fall out of the sky. That dress could be automatically gifted to you from a friend. When you resist and when you try to control things to be a certain way, the magic of miracles or the magic of things flowing disappears. So in order to let go, you need to stop resisting, you need to stop controlling, to just flow and to just be, relax. A river doesn't stop flowing just because you tell it to or you put a rock over it. It just does. Water naturally flows wherever it feels like it. Just like how if I were to put water inside of a cup, then naturally it takes the shape of that cup. Or if I were to dig near a puddle of water, then the water from that puddle flows where I am digging. A story that can help you understand this concept of letting go is the monkey story. This story was recited by Swami Sarvapriyananda. Once there was a farmer who kept bananas in a jar. The monkey who was watched as the farmer put them in a jar. Once he left, the monkey grabbed the bananas and ran away with them. The farmer started to notice this. Then the farmer came up with a plan. He grabbed the jar with a narrow neck and placed the bananas in there. The monkey came back, and once the farmer left, the monkey put his arm inside of the jar. However, because the jar was narrower, he could not get the banana out. The farmer then beat the monkey. The monkey was grabbing the banana inside of the jar and did not let go. Swami says that if the monkey had just let go of the banana, he could have escaped and not suffered. The monkey was never trapped. The only thing trapping him was the banana, aka his desire. You let go of what never belonged to you. Now you might be wondering, what is fear? Where does fear come from? To explain this, I want to explain a little bit of the Bhagavad Gita, a part of a much longer story called the Mahabharata. At the start of the battle for Dharma, which means religious, moral duty, or righteousness, the soldier Arjuna is in a dilemma. He has to fight his own family. He shakes and quivers in fear as he sees his family and does not want to fight anymore. He doesn't want to kill his family, even though Duryodhana, his enemy and a Kaurava, disrobed and dishonored his wife Draupadi. He is stuck in a dilemma. He is asking himself, do I do what is right, or am I doing the wrong thing, killing my own family? Krishna, who is the epitome of the supreme power, aka God, or however you see God in your own way, Krishna then tells Arjuna, give up this unmanliness, give up this fear. You're a Kshatriya, a warrior, and your dharma or duty is to fight. And many of us have been in Arjuna's position. Perhaps you have felt nervous for a recital, a test, or a presentation. Perhaps you have to socialize and talk to people, even though you're an introvert. Perhaps you get scared that you might fail or come off as embarrassing. Perhaps you're afraid of how others see you or will criticize you. Perhaps you feel helpless at what you can do to help others who are suffering. Perhaps you are stuck and you don't know what to do in life. Perhaps you have to move out of your comfort zone, even though you don't want to. But regardless, we've all been in Arjuna's position at least once in our life, in this position of doubt and fear. But where does this fear come from? What is fear? Fear arises from attachment. But attachment to what, you may ask? Fear is attached to control, ego, and illusion. Let me explain. Where does the ego come from? What is ego? Ego, my friends, is the I, my, and mine. Me, myself, and I, which all arises from the mind. It is about believing everything you own is yours. That ego deludes one into thinking they are the doer. The ego makes one think that everything in this world is theirs. That they are alone, that they are isolated, which makes one helpless, like Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna shivered in fear at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita because he was still attached to his family ties. He did not want to kill his family. He was scared of committing the sin of killing people. So he was deluded into thinking he was the doer and believed he was the one who did all actions, when in reality Krishna's will allowed everything to happen to reach this point in the battlefield. Arjuna's fear stemmed from attachment to the false expectations of his actions and ego, or identification with his own body. In chapter 3, verse 27 of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, all activities are carried out by the three modes of material nature. But in ignorance, the soul, deluded by false identification with the body, thinks of itself as a doer. What this verse means is that one does not realize that they are not the doer. You are not the doer. There is no ego, there is no separation. The illusion of separation caused by ego causes fear and control. The one who directs and performs all things is Mother Nature herself, also known as Prakriti in Sanskrit. The body and mind are controlled by the three gunas, or the three modes of material nature, or Mother Nature, which are sattva, purity, clarity, harmony; rajas, activity, passion, and desire; and tamas, inertia, ignorance, and dullness, which shape our behavior and experiences. Everything in this world is operated under these three modes of material nature. It is through the ahankara, or ego, the belief of I do, and identifying with the body, that causes the soul to be delusional into thinking that it is performing or doing the actions. The truth is, nature is acting through us, through the body. One becomes entangled in suffering. And karma, when the soul, or Atman, identifies as the body, and mind, as the doer of all actions, when in truth, the soul is just the witness consciousness. Now, this doesn't mean that one shouldn't do anything, but rather to act with detachment, humility, and dharma, or duty, rather than trying to control the outcome or fruits of your actions. Detach yourself from ego, because ego creates the illusion of I do this, leading to attachment, pride, fear, and sorrow. You are not the doer. The self, or soul, or pure consciousness, as many people have called it, is untouched. It is just a witness. The body and mind, which are products of nature herself, are the actual doers. You are simply the witness, untouched, not the doer. Fear is the result of having one's stability and security threatened. It is the result of having the root chakra blocked. Fear destroys trust. It destroys confidence, and it destroys your real self, but only if you let it. When one is in fear, their defenses and strengths weaken and therefore are easier to control. That's why when a powerful person who is a tyrant, or someone who is afraid of losing their power, aka a coward, will use tactics to divide and conquer the people. Because they know that fear makes one believe that they are useless, isolated, and alone. But when people are separated, or believed to be, they no longer want to fight, just as Arjuna initially refused to fight in chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita. But when one person who is courageous and brave enough to stand up and rises against fear, and others follow, a collective consciousness rises, unable to be defeated. Like how Krishna guided Arjuna's chariot and Arjuna's mind back to him to fight for justice. Because when one realizes ego is an illusion, and that the illusion of separation is not real, there can be no fear. If there is no ego, how can fear exist? Because along with ego, attachment and fear disappears as well. When attachment to what you believe is yours, or belongs to me, my, mine, myself disappears, fear disappears also. Think of your car or money in your bank account. Think of anything that you possess at this very time. How will you react if you lose those things tomorrow? You will be scared, right? Because you have attached your ego, possessions, and everything you own to your identity. So fear naturally rises due to attachment. You fear losing these possessions because of attachment to these temporary illusions. These things won't last forever. These material things will come and go like seasons in a year, spring, summer, fall, and winter, because they don't last forever. But you attach yourself to these things because you desire them to be around you forever, even though that is never the case. Think of another time you were scared of taking a test, or scared to do something for the very first time. Perhaps you were told you were taking a test and you didn't study. You don't know if it'll be long questions, multiple choice, free form, etc. You don't know what the test looks like, or if you will pass or fail. You don't know this, you don't know that. And that's because you have attached yourself to the outcome, or the fruits of your actions. You have attached yourself to how you expect the test to look like, so you naturally fear the unknown, because you are attached to expectations, failure, and controlling things out of your control, how the test should look like to you. The solution to overcome fear in these situations is to act according to your duty without attachment. So if you are a student taking a test, take it without expecting anything. Do your duty as a student, which is to study, to be prepared for the test, without expecting anything. Take the exam because that's what you're supposed to do. Similarly, if you fear losing your possessions, realize that these possessions may get lost, may break, they may get robbed, destroyed, etc., and you can always replace them. But awareness is the first step to overcoming this fear. Detachment liberates you from it. Now, I do want to share a story on ego from Hinduism. She's one of my favorite goddesses, and this is the story of Goddess Kali. For those of you that don't know, Goddess Kali is the goddess of time, death, and destruction. She emerged from the middle of the forehead, or the third eye, of Goddess Durga, who is a warrior goddess who was fighting demons for 9 days. And Goddess Kali took on a very fierce, terrifying, and scary form. However, despite this fierce and very scary form of hers, she's also a very loving and compassionate mother. In her form that you guys are seeing on the screen, she is bare because she is the embodiment of raw truth. It is not dressed and perfection. It is not dressed or perfection. It is not neat and orderly. She is the embodiment of raw truth, which is wild, free, and untamed. She is independent. She is free. No one is telling her what to do. She doesn't need permission to fight. She doesn't need permission to be. She just is, because she embodies that truth. Truth is not something you can control because it just is, right? And she is dark, and she carries a sword, and she uses limbs and severed heads as her jewelry, right? But what is her story, right? So we know she emerged from the third eye of Goddess Durga, who was a warrior goddess. She emerged from Goddess Durga's anger, which is why Kali takes on a more angry, fierce form. But anyway, Kali manifested to kill the demon Raktabij, who had a boon that one drop of his blood would manifest into 1,000 of himself. So Goddess Kali uses her tongue and captures all of the blood after she severs the head into a bowl and drinks it, ultimately defeating him. However, for the sake of this episode, as much as I do love the story of Makali, I do want to focus more on ego. So, ego, right, let's talk about it. So she has a sword that severs the head of the demons to symbolize the destruction of ego. And ultimately that head becomes a part of her, to symbolize there was never separation in the first place. Everything dissolves with and becomes a part of her. The thing you need to take away from this is demons are scared of Goddess Kali because they have ego. Ego causes them to fear her, or to believe they are separate or more powerful than her. But when she cuts their head, she removes their ego and cuts through the illusion of separation. Then they become a part of her, because they were never once separated in the first place. Similarly, in our life, our ego traps us in fear from truth. She is the truth, the embodiment of truth, which is wild, free, and untamed. She just is. And people who have ego are afraid of the truth. They are afraid of her, because she is the embodiment of unapologetic truth. So, in order for you to remove fear from your life, you need to let go of that ego, because you are never separated from truth in the first place. That's why in a lot of sections from Hinduism, including in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, surrender your mind to me, surrender everything to me, offer yourself to me. Why? Because Krishna and Arjuna are one and the same. They just took different bodies, different forms to share this story of the Bhagavad Gita, right? Adding on to the story, she teaches us that in order to embrace our truth and be unapologetically ourselves, we must remove our ego. She doesn't care about labels nor fears demons. She destroys to restore balance. She is truth embodied and is fierce, which scares the illusion of the ego. She doesn't fear criticism, nor does she fear how people view her, because she is beyond that. She is beyond fear, and she just is. So a reminder, embrace who you are, embrace yourself, and move beyond fear. Move beyond these 3 modes of material nature. Move beyond this fear, because you are not the doer, you are just a witness consciousness, and everything else is just acting through you. You are only an instrument in this large part of a theater. Now, you might be wondering, how do we let go of fear? The answer to that is truth. Truth removes and destroys illusions. Truth destroys the attachments and the illusions of ego, and along with it, fear. Truth gives us courage. Courage outpowers fear. But what is the truth? The real truth is that this illusion of separation is false. We are all one. We are all connected. When you hurt someone else or when you hurt others, you're only simply hurting yourself. The world around you is simply a reflection of you, the eternal self. When you separate yourself from everyone or identify with the ego, you only accumulate karma for yourself and therefore suffering. So when someone suffers, we suffer. And in turn, we try to help. Why? Because we're all connected. We are one and the same. Let's put this into perspective here with an example. Take a drop of water from the ocean, right? Now, take that drop of water and put it back in the ocean. Where's the drop of water now? It's dissolved and become one with the ocean, only to realize it was an ocean all along. It was never separate, but it believed itself to be. Confused? Let me give you another example. What do we call a group of Homo sapiens? Humans, right? Even though humans have different duties, religions, ideas, political beliefs, skin color, race, gender, you name it, we are still called humans. This brings us all together. If we were to nitpick or classify ourselves on our differences, we are separated and therefore easier to control through fear and illusions, and therefore easier to control through fear and isolation. But when those labels and differences disappear, unity rises, and we are called humanity. Because a group of people is more powerful than one person. This is what scares leaders in power, tyrants and cowards, to stand together, to fight together. Because they realize that once a collective knows their true power, they can stand and rise against them. Now, let's imagine you're participating in a protest, raising awareness, speaking out for justice, or fighting against certain oppressive systems. If you are thinking, I am the one changing the world, or my voice matters more, then you are egotistical. You're acting from a place of ego, which creates attachment to things like pride, anger, and even causes delusion, especially when things don't go your way. Similarly, if you're looting or hurting businesses of hardworking immigrants, or pretending to be someone to hurt someone, you are egotistical. You're operating from a place of ego. You are not acting responsibly or from a place of righteousness, justice, also known as dharma, right? You are not dharmic. You are not doing the right thing, and you are selfish. You are acting from a place of ego, which hurts others, but hurts you in the end. You simply want to gain things for your ego at the expense of others. However, if you think, this body and mind are instruments, nature is acting through me, I am guided by compassion and dharma, not ego. If you are protesting and thinking this way and using your platform, identity, and status to help others, you're acting with detachment, not for personal gain or identity, but from truth and service. Service to others is the way of the Dharma. Service to others without gaining anything. Fighting for Dharma and being on the path of righteousness will always protect you. Even Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita told Arjuna, if you fight because it is your duty, disregarding joy, sorrow, profit, loss, victory, or defeat, then there is no sin incurred either. Following the path of dharma or righteous duty will never go to waste. It will never hinder your progress, whereas even a little advancement or a little step will save you from many dangers. This verse means that if we do our duty to fight against injustice and not gaining anything, nor for profit, nor for fame, or status, whatever the case may be, but because it's the right thing to do, then we will be protected. Always. The righteous people are always protected. You are a servant of Dharma, of righteousness, not its controller, nor its creator. So if you're protected from spreading or speaking truth, then what is there to fear? Let's mention another example. Let's say you are sending aid to a country in need, or volunteering, or doing charity work. Ask yourself, are you doing it to become a millionaire, or to gain fame, or something from it? Or are you doing it to help people in need? A person who does these actions through ego will gain fame, profit, status, or something in exchange of doing charity in the name of exploiting or using people. A person who does righteous duty or doing the right thing in the name of justice, selflessness, and compassion gains nothing or profit or none of that stuff, but does their duty because it's the right thing to do. Similarly, we should all step up and do our part to help others in need. If we are blessed with abundance and money, share some of it to people in need. If we are blessed with knowledge and wisdom, right, share it. If we are blessed with fame, use it to bring awareness to important causes, right? If you are blessed with a voice, use it to share your truth and use it to help others. Use your voice to help those that are being silenced and oppressed at this time, right? We all have something to offer. Right now, a lot of you guys may feel helpless. A lot of you guys may feel like, I don't have any money. I'm too young for this. I'm working 24/7. I don't have time. I don't have this. You do have something. If you have the time to watch this video right now, you do have something to offer. Even if you don't have knowledge or abundance or like a lot of these different things that I just mentioned, you can donate your time, your support, your love, your compassion. You do have something to offer. Everyone does. Once you figure out what that thing is, offer it to do the right thing. Don't expect anything from it. Don't do it from a place of ego or attachment. Use it from a place of compassion and dharma, which is righteousness, right? Because it's the right thing. Just like how Lord Krishna reminded Arjuna, listen, you're a warrior. Your duty is to fight. So just fight because it is your duty to fight. Don't do it because you're expecting heaven or all of these different things, right? Similarly, you should do your duty because it's the right thing to do. Because it is human to help other humans. Because it is compassionate to do the right things. So the TLDR, letting go happens naturally. It is not forced. It just happens. Fear comes from attachment and ego. Ego causes this illusion of separation. We are all one collective consciousness. We can let go of our fear by removing our ego, our attachments, and doing our duty without expectations or attachments. Doing our duty because it is our duty. Truth and courage will always defeat ego and fear.
Story, but I'm guessing it's because somebody needs to hear it. When I was 16, I went into what I thought was going to be a normal day at biology class. And when I walked in, all the desks were arranged in a circle in the middle of the room. And the instructor, who had always been a really amazing, loving, kind instructor, was super militant, super scary, and just looked at us and said, sit down, shut up. You are not allowed to move, to speak at all, and anyone who does will immediately fail my class. And we were all stunned. I get like, just thinking about it, because I was a straight A student and grades were really important to me, and I was just like terrified. So we're all sitting there silently, nervous out of our minds. And in the middle of this circle that we were all sitting in, there was one desk. And on this desk was a bowl with a goldfish in it. And he looked at us and he took the goldfish and he put it on the desk and he walked out and he shut the door. And we all just looked at each other. We're just like, what do we do? Like, obviously it violated like everything inside of me to like watch this fish die. And also I heard the instruction. If you speak, if you get up, if you move, you will automatically fail the class. And so we all sat there looking to each other to do something because we didn't want it to be us. And what was a very painful, it felt like an eternity. It was probably like 2.5 minutes later. Hannah B, got up and said, fuck this, and took the goldfish and put it back in the bowl. And when she did that, he came out and he looked at all of us and he said, look what the world has done to you. You've betrayed yourself. For what? And I think about that lesson all the time because I learned in that moment that I am never going to be that person ever again. That when I see something that is wrong, even if it's just me, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to do what's right. And I've done that over and over again in my life in very scary situations. But I'm sad for people who haven't learned that lesson, because there are so many things that are wrong that if you're too scared to make a difference, you won't make right.
Now, I do want to talk a little bit of what's going on in the world. As always, I'm going to have to use code words. Here they are up on the screen. Now, for those of you protesting around the US against ice cream, make sure you are protected. Know your rights first. I have resources to that in my link tree. My link tree is in the pinned comment and in the description. So make sure to go check those out. If you are of any ethnic background right now, you should not be protesting unless you are a US citizen. Please stay safe. It is not selfish of you to protect yourself or your family. So keep that in mind. If you are protesting, make sure you are protecting your identity. Don't take your phones. Don't take anything that will be identifiable, unless it's an ID, of course. That being said, please follow safety guidelines and rules and know your rights. All of those resources are in the link tree. Now, there have been looters. I repeat, looters. Looters meaning they break into the stores and they rob things and cause chaos. Yesterday I was watching a stream of someone blowing up a car with fire. I understand that everyone is angry and there's chaos around. But let's not forget what we are fighting against. We are fighting against a system of oppression. We are fighting against a fascist regime. We are not hurting individuals. We are not harming property. We are not harming people's businesses, which are run by immigrants. We are not harming people's jobs. We should not be doing this, y'all. And I'm going to say this, I don't care if it sounds controversial. I'm sick and tired of having to deal with this every single time there's a protest. If you are a looter, you are now the enemy of our cause. I repeat, if you are a looter, I don't care if you're Latina, I don't care if you're Latino, I don't care if you're any of the ethnic backgrounds. If you are a looter, if you are contributing to looting, or if you're harming individuals, you are now the enemy of our cause. You are an accomplice to what ICE is doing. ICE is dividing and conquering. You are doing the same thing. You are helping their cause rather than ours. Remember, protesting is about fighting against this system of oppression. But looting is doing that exact same thing. You are dividing and conquering for your own egotistical and selfish needs. Protesting is selfless. We are speaking out against things that are oppressing us to protect the people that we care about. But if you are looting, you are now the enemy of our cause. So don't ask us to get you out of jail because you brought yourself there in the first place. We are only asking to protest. Protest against this regime. Protesting can take many different forms. This is one of them. Speaking out against it publicly in a public platform and using this, right? But I repeat, if you are looting, if you're a looter, you're now the enemy, if not worse than ICE. I repeat, if you are looting, if you're stealing, if you're harming, you are now the enemy. So don't ask us to get you out of jail, honey, because you brought that on yourself. You are acting out of selfishness, out of gaining something from us, from this cause, for your own selfish needs. So don't come in here acting like, oh, I'm fighting for your cause, because no, you're not. No, you're not. I want to make that very clear. As for the rest of y'all who are protesting and staying at home safely, please continue staying safe. There are resources in my link tree to stay safe. Make sure you stay safe and read those resources. This is why I try to spread my link tree everywhere, because my link tree has resources. It's not just for my socials. It's for you guys to stay informed. It's to help you guys. So check the link tree. On other news, Madeleine, there is a ship that was meant to send food to Watermelon. Unfortunately, all of their passengers have been detained and kidnapped on international waters, which, you know, if you are kidnapped on international waters, that is a crime. So contact your local governments if you can. Send emails, continue to pressure, continue to show up and protest. There are protests going on all over the world, and request the release of the passengers of the Madeleine ship, and continue calling. And if they don't answer, leave voicemails and don't stop. Don't stop fighting. Don't stop putting on pressure on your governments. It's a shame that we, those of us who have school, those of us who go to work, have to stop what we're doing because the people in power cannot do anything, even though they have the power and the money to do so. So it's a shame. But together as a collective, as a people, we can do things and make a big difference in this world. So again, check the link tree if you want to know more about how you can help right now. And if you need a little bit more of a courage, confidence boost, I suggest watching the last section of my suffering episode. I will put the timestamp here so that you guys can go watch that specific part. You guys will understand why if you guys watch it and listen to it. But I think this is a good way to end the episode. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. And if you guys want to keep me updated, join the Discord, tag me there, send me resources. Y'all know the drill. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. And stay fearless, be courageous, spread your truth. And until next time, peace and love out.